My sister's birthday surprise ruined everything. I trusted them with my heart, and they betrayed me in my own home. Before I take you deeper into what happened, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video if you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting your child. Now let me tell you what really happened, through my eyes. Hi, my name is Mara Smith. I'm from a small neighborhood just outside Boston. And I used to believe honestly, deep down that I had the perfect life. A hard-working husband, a curious and loving daughter, and a tight-knit family that gathered every weekend like clockwork. I thought we were safe. I thought we were solid. But one Saturday morning, everything shifted. That day started out like any other. The sun was out, birds chirping. You know, one of those mornings that feel like something good is about to happen. I was already dressed in my light blue scrubs because I had a quick shift at the children's hospital. I remember slipping into the kitchen, sipping coffee as my daughter Tessa bounced in, humming her newest piano piece. Guess what, Mommy? She beamed. I'm going to play Happy Birthday for Bella all by myself today. I smiled, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She's going to love it, sweet girl. Tessa was only 6, but you'd think she was preparing for a concert the way she took her music seriously. That little keyboard by the window. She made it come alive. And she had her dad's determination too. Dean always made sure she stayed focused but had fun doing it. Speaking of Dean, he came downstairs in uniform, already halfway out the door for an early call. You'll make it back for the party, right? I asked him as he grabbed his thermos. He leaned in and kissed me quickly. Wouldn't miss Bella's cake for the world. Save me a corner slice. I watched him leave and felt that familiar warmth. We didn't have much, but we had us. And that meant everything to me. Now, today wasn't just any Saturday, it was Bella's 6th birthday. My niece, Jennifer's daughter, and we were hosting the party at our place this year. The backyard was already half decorated with pink streamers, bubble machines, and the unicorn banner Tessa insisted we use. Jennifer, my sister, was supposed to arrive around noon with her husband, David, and their 2 kids, Wells and Bella. Our kids were like siblings, and Jennifer and I. We talked almost every day. She was my best friend. My only sister. I trusted her with everything. That's why what happened later cut so deep. By 11:30, I was back from the hospital and racing around the kitchen. Cupcakes in the oven, juice boxes stacked. Tessa had changed into her sparkly tutu and was sitting at the keyboard, practicing with all her heart. Then they arrived. Jennifer breezed in holding a massive pink cake shaped like a castle. David followed, carrying balloons, and the kids ran in giggling like they owned the place. Wells tackled Tessa in a playful hug, and Bella squealed, "Let's go to the swings." It was all perfect, for about an hour. And then, something started to feel off. While we waited for the presents to be wrapped, Tessa tugged on my sleeve. "Mama," she whispered, "can I write a little note inside the book for Bella?" I bent down and smiled at her. "Of course, sweetheart. That's a beautiful idea." I handed her a pen, and she carefully wrote in her neatest handwriting. "To Bella, happy birthday. I hope you like this book. Love, Tessa." My heart swelled. It was such a small thing, but it showed the kind of child she was growing into. Thoughtful, kind, just like I'd always prayed. Dean returned from the car with a big grin. "Presents sorted, all set," I said. "Let's head home and start getting things ready." By 1:15 p.m., we were dressed and packed. The backyard was still a little messy from our usual playtime, so while I arranged the balloons and streamers, Dean set up chairs and the folding table we borrowed from our neighbor. Tessa stayed close by, helping tape glittery stars to the fence. "I want it to look like a fairy castle," she said, eyes sparkling. "Bella has to feel like a princess today." "You're making that happen already," I told her, giving her a wink. The doorbell rang exactly at 2 p.m. And just like always, Jennifer arrived in a flurry of smiles and energy, holding the castle-shaped birthday cake we'd all been waiting for. "Tell me this isn't the cutest cake you've ever seen," she laughed, placing it down on the table. David followed close behind, carrying gift bags and balloons, with Wells and Bella racing in behind them. Tessa ran straight to Bella and hugged her tight. Happy birthday. I've got surprises for you. Bella giggled. Me too. Wait till you see my dress. I stepped forward and hugged Jennifer. Everything looks amazing. You did so much. Jennifer laughed, brushing her hair back. You're hosting. Least I could do was bring the sugar and sparkle. It was all perfect. Or so I thought, until I stepped inside the hallway to grab extra plates and overheard a voice. Jennifer's. Low, tight, frustrated. I told you we should have just had it at our place, she was saying. Mara always turns everything into a big show, like she's trying to prove something. My chest tightened. David's voice followed, quieter. It's just a birthday party, Jen. Let her enjoy it. She always wants to be the hero, Jennifer muttered, unaware I was standing just beyond the corner. Her perfect family, her nurse life, her little piano prodigy daughter. I'm tired of pretending she's so great. I froze. My hand still rested on the cupboard door, but my mind went numb. The warmth I'd felt just minutes ago it evaporated. Jennifer, my sister, my best friend, wasn't proud of me. She resented me. At the entrance, Bella was twirling in a glittery pink dress, her cheeks flushed from excitement and running around. She spotted us and squealed. Auntie Mara, Uncle Dean, Tessa. She ran into Tessa's arms like a gust of wind. The two girls hugged tightly, giggling and spinning around in a little circle like they hadn't just seen each other last weekend. Happy birthday, Bella, Tessa grinned, handing her the glittery present bag. I picked it myself. Bella gasped. Really? Thank you. I can't wait to open it. Jennifer walked over next, her usual warm smile stretched across her face. Though now, after what I overheard earlier, it felt performative. Almost like a mask. Hey, Mara, she said, pulling me in for a quick hug. You guys made it right on time. We wouldn't miss it, I replied, trying to keep my tone level. Dean handed her the wine. Figured this might go well with cake. Jennifer laughed. Perfect. You always know. I gave her a soft smile and followed everyone into the backyard, but my heart wasn't settled. From the outside, everything looked picture perfect. Streamers fluttered in the breeze. A table loaded with chips, fruit skewers, and punch bowls stood under a white canopy. Kids dashed around with bubble wands, laughing. And that cake, of course, was stunning. A two-tiered castle cake with edible towers and glittery sugar windows. Jennifer really outdid herself. I smiled when people greeted me. Dean was already chatting with David near the grill, and Tessa had joined the other kids for a game of tag. But inside, I was spiraling. Jennifer's words echoed like a whisper I couldn't shake. She always wants to be the hero. That wasn't me, was it? I'd never tried to show off. I just wanted my family to feel loved, too. Feel safe. I worked double shifts at the hospital not to prove a point, but so we could afford things like books for Tessa, or a summer trip for all of us. My home wasn't a stage. It was my haven, and now I was wondering if my own sister had misunderstood everything I'd built. Mama, Tessa called out, waving at me. Come see the unicorn piñata. I forced a smile, blinking away the sting behind my eyes. Coming, baby. I crossed the yard, clapping when Tessa gave the piñata a strong whack with a plastic bat. She looked back at me, her face beaming, and for a moment, everything else faded. All that mattered was her joy. But I knew I couldn't unhear what I'd heard. While eating cake, the adults talked and laughed easily. From the outside, it looked like nothing in the world could be wrong. Jennifer was in her element, serving slices of cake with practiced charm, chatting with guests, floating between conversations like a perfect hostess. But me, I sat near the edge of the table with Tessa leaning against my arm, her lips coated in rainbow frosting, and my mind was anything but present. I kept replaying those whispered words in my head. She always wants to be the hero. I glanced over at Jennifer, who was now laughing with David's parents about Bella's obsession with unicorns. She looked comfortable, at peace. Was I overthinking it? Mommy, Tessa whispered suddenly, snapping me out of my thoughts. Can I go play with Bella and Wells in the treehouse? I nodded. Of course, baby. Be careful climbing. Okay. I will, she said, already halfway across the yard. Dean walked over and handed me a plate with another slice of cake. You okay? He asked, lowering his voice. I gave him a half smile. Yeah, just a little tired. He studied me for a second. You've got that look. What look? The look you get when something's bothering you and you're pretending it's not. I sighed and leaned in. I overheard Jennifer talking earlier, before the party. He raised an eyebrow. What did she say? She was venting to David. Said I always try to be the hero. That I turn everything into a show. Like I'm putting on a performance, not just living. Dean frowned. She said that. I nodded slowly. Yeah. He glanced across the yard at Jennifer. That doesn't sound like you. You've always gone out of your way to help people. At work. At home. For her. And you've never done it for applause. I didn't answer. I just stared down at my cake, suddenly not hungry. Do you want to talk to her about it? He asked gently. I shook my head. Not today. It's Bella's day. I meant it. But deep down, the hurt sat heavy in my chest. I thought Jennifer and I were a team. That even if we had our differences, we had love and respect as our foundation. But now, I wasn't sure. Suddenly, Bella came running toward me, holding a small plastic microphone. Auntie Mara, Tessa said I should sing a song for everyone before presents are over. Can I? I smiled at her. Of course, sweetheart. We'd love that. She climbed onto the little wooden platform Jennifer had set up for photos and tapped the mic twice. Okay, she shouted. I'm gonna sing something for my mommy and Auntie Mara. Everyone turned their attention toward her. She cleared her throat, looked down shyly, and then started to sing a made-up song about friendship and birthday wishes. Her tiny voice filled the yard, wobbly but sweet. I looked over at Jennifer. Her eyes were misty, hands over her heart. And in that moment, I realized something. She did love me, but maybe, just maybe, she also envied me. Wasn't quite right. She didn't argue anymore. She clutched the new book Bella had given her as a return favor and quietly walked over to me. I took her hand and tried not to let her see how hard my own was shaking. Dean, if what he said was true, if he was really at the station, then who had I been talking to just minutes ago? Who was flipping burgers beside David, laughing, and calling out about how perfectly cooked the hot dogs were? I glanced toward the grill. The man who looked like Dean was standing there, still engaged in conversation, flipping meat with ease. Same voice, same posture, but now, it didn't feel right. Something in my stomach turned. I tightened my grip on Tessa's hand. Mara, at least let me pack you some leftover cake, Jennifer said, grabbing a foil wrap from the table. No, really, Jen, it's fine. We're in a rush. She narrowed her eyes slightly, studying my face. Is everything okay? I forced a shaky smile. Yeah, just hospital stuff. They need me to fill in for an emergency. David stepped forward, that usual charming smile on his face. You sure you're all right? You look a little pale. I looked at him. Now that I knew what Dean had said, don't go near David, his smile felt off. Too smooth, too perfect. No, I'm okay, I said quickly, stepping back and pulling Tessa a little closer. I'll text you later, Jen. Thanks again for everything. Jennifer looked confused. Okay, drive safe, all right. I nodded, avoiding David's eyes. We turned and headed to the car. My heart was slamming so loud in my chest, I could barely hear Tessa asking, are we going to the hospital now, Mommy? We're going home, baby, I whispered. But we need to be really fast, okay. I clicked the car doors open and buckled her in with shaking hands. I looked over my shoulder. David was still standing in the yard, watching us. Jennifer waved gently. I waved back without smiling. Once we were on the road, I reached for my phone with trembling fingers and hit Dean's number. He picked up immediately. Mara, I'm in the car, I said, trying to breathe. Tessa's with me. We're heading home. Tell me what's going on. Please. He let out a breath. Mara, David was just picked up by the department. He's under investigation. There's been a federal alert about possible involvement in a missing persons case. What? I whispered. What are you talking about? He's in our backyard flipping burgers. Dean's voice cracked through the phone. Mara, That man is not David. The real David is in our custody. We don't know who that man is. I slammed the brakes so hard the car behind me honked. Dean, what do you mean, not David? He's there. I don't have all the answers yet. But you did the right thing by leaving. Whatever's happening, stay away from him. Lock the doors. I'll meet you at home. I looked at Tessa through the rearview mirror. She was quietly staring at the trees outside, unaware of anything beyond our rushed exit. My hands were sweating against the wheel. Something was deeply wrong. And the worst part, Jennifer had no idea. Car came into view. I almost cried. The flashing red and blue lights danced across the quiet street, and Dean's patrol SUV screeched to a stop beside us. He jumped out before the engine was even fully off. Mara, he shouted, rushing toward us. Dean, I called back, trying to hold it together. Tessa let go of my hand and ran to him, throwing her little arms around his waist. He knelt down immediately, scooping her into his arms, holding her like he might never let go. I was so scared, Daddy, she said quietly, her voice muffled against his chest. I know, baby, you were so brave. I'm here now, okay. He looked up at me, and in that moment, I saw just how shaken he was. He wasn't just worried, he was scared too. I quickly explained, all 4 tires. Slashed. I don't know when. I didn't hear anything. Dean's jaw clenched. He did it. Somehow. He was watching. Everything, probably waiting for the right moment. We still don't know who he is, but he's not David. Dean, I whispered, my voice trembling, Jennifer and the kids are still in that house. I know, he said, already reaching for the radio on his shoulder. Units are closing in. We'll handle it. Does Jennifer know? Not yet, he said, his tone tight. We couldn't risk tipping him off before you and Tessa were safe. My stomach twisted. That meant my sister, my niece, and my nephew were still inside the house with a stranger pretending to be her husband. Dean helped us into the back seat of the patrol car and buckled Tessa in gently. She clung to the stuffed toy she had won from the piñata, her face pale. Mama, she whispered, was that man really Uncle David? I hesitated. No, baby, I don't think he was. She nodded like she already knew. He didn't feel like him. Dean met my eyes in the rearview mirror as he started the engine. I need to get you two somewhere safe. Headquarters. After that, I'm going back with the team. This guy's dangerous, Mara. He played this too well. Dean, I said, my voice low and shaking, please, don't let anything happen to Jennifer or the kids. I won't, he promised, gripping the wheel tight. I swear I won't. Past, my arrest, everything. She forgave me. She said people could change, and I've spent every day since then trying to prove her right. Michael narrowed his eyes, searching David's face. Then why did your name still pop up on the active watch list? David let out a long breath and sat down slowly. Because I'm still under probation. I check in, I follow every condition they set. I don't go near schools or parks unless I'm with my own kids. I haven't violated anything. You can check that yourself. Michael was quiet for a moment. He didn't like the man sitting in front of him, but his job was to look at facts, not feelings. And why didn't you say something at the party when I showed up in uniform? He asked. I didn't want to ruin Bella's birthday. I figured you saw my name and put the rest together. I was hoping foolishly that you wouldn't cause a scene. Michael crossed his arms. You do understand how this looks, right? You were in close proximity to my daughter. And no one else here knew about your past. Including me. David nodded. I do understand. And I'd never hurt your daughter, or any child. I've worked hard to rebuild my life. But I get it, you're a father. You had every right to panic. Michael stepped back, rubbing a hand over his mouth. His instincts as a father were clashing with his duty as an officer. But facts were facts. David had been honest at least with Jennifer. Does Jennifer know you're still on probation? He asked. David looked down. No, I told her I was out, completely. I didn't want her to worry. Michael's jaw clenched. That was a lie. A dangerous one. I'll need to file a formal report, he said. And I will have to inform Jennifer. She deserves to know. David nodded, his eyes heavy. I understand. Just then, the door creaked open behind them. Jennifer stood there, her face pale. She had heard everything. You told me it was all behind you, she said softly, barely above a whisper. David stood up quickly. Jen, I didn't want to hide it. I just didn't want you to feel unsafe. I didn't want to mess up what we had. You lied, she said, backing away. You promised there were no more secrets. Michael stepped in. Jennifer, I think it's best you take the kids to your sister's house for now. We'll need to sort this out. Jennifer's hands were shaking. I don't even know who I married. I did can never be undone, David said, his voice calm but full of regret. But I live every day knowing the damage I caused. I made a promise to myself, and to Jennifer, that I would never let the darkness in me hurt another person again. My counseling keeps me accountable. It reminds me that I am not cured. I am responsible. I sat across from him, my arms folded across my chest. My stomach felt tight, like it was full of sharp stones. I looked over at Dean, who gave me a silent nod of support. Then I turned back to David. Do you understand, I said, slowly, that knowing this changes everything for us? Yes, David nodded, I do. And I won't blame you if you never feel comfortable around me again. I just want you to know I've worked every day for the past 10 years to never be that man again. Jennifer squeezed his hand and spoke for the first time in a while. Mara, she said gently, I understand how you feel. I do. If it were Tessa, I would feel exactly the same way. That day, when Dean called you, I saw fear in your eyes I had never seen before. And I don't blame you. But I also saw a man that day who didn't run. Who stood beside me, beside our children, and faced what he feared most, being exposed again. I looked at her, my sister. My best friend since we were little girls. The person I shared everything with. I had never imagined a secret this big could sit between us. And you're sure he's never broken your trust? I asked her. Never, Jennifer said firmly. Not once. There was a pause. The only sound was the soft hum of cartoon voices coming from the next room. Dean cleared his throat. This is one of the hardest positions we've ever been in, he said. As a father, as a cop, as a brother-in-law. I checked the records myself. David's been consistent, he hasn't violated any terms of his probation. His counselor confirmed his attendance and participation. Dean looked at me. We're not here to pass judgment. We're here to figure out how to move forward. As a family. I nodded slowly, my voice barely above a whisper. Then we have to put the kids first. Always. David's eyes glistened. That's all I want. And there have to be boundaries, I added quickly. David, no being alone with any of the kids. Ever. Not just Tessa. I don't care how innocent the moment seems. There's no space for doubt. I agree, David said immediately. I already live by that rule. And no secrets again, Jennifer, I added. This was too big. I promise, Jennifer said, reaching for my hand across the coffee table. I hesitated, then took it. We sat there, connected again, but not the same. The trust was cracked, not broken, but it would take time. This conversation wasn't closure, but it was a beginning. That night, as I sat by the window with Dean, watching the glow from the street lamps touch the tops of the trees, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Not peace exactly, but the beginning of it. Tessa was asleep, her small hands curled gently by her cheeks, her doll tucked beside her like a friend standing guard. Down the hallway, I could hear Dean brushing his teeth, his footsteps light. We'd had hard conversations, longer nights, and so many unsure glances between us lately. But we were still here. Still holding on. The meeting with Jennifer and David had ended in one piece. It wasn't perfect. It didn't erase the fear I'd felt that day when Dean told me to run. It didn't magically restore trust. But it opened a door. A door to healing. A door to clarity. That night in bed, I turned to Dean and whispered, I'm still scared sometimes. He looked at me quietly for a moment, then took my hand. So am I, he said. But we're not walking through this alone. And that was the truth. Real families, the real kind, don't exist in picture frames or holiday cards. They're built in conversations that shake the room. In decisions that aren't easy, in forgiveness that doesn't come fast. We decided to rebuild together, slowly. Small weekend visits, more open conversations, counseling updates shared freely, and most of all, eyes open, hearts open, because maybe that's the best we can do. Not pretend things never happened, but face them together. If this story touched you, if you've ever faced something hard with the people you love, then share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below about a moment that tested your family and how you overcame it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because the truth is, families aren't perfect. But sometimes, facing the truth together, is what makes them real.